30 seconds and counting.
There were plenty of years where there were guys who would dread being drafted by the Buffalo Bills. Not anymore.
Astronauts report it feels good. T-minus 25 seconds.
Brandon Beane realizes they're in a window of 2 to 3 years max to get this done while the iron's still hot. And getting Von Miller into that situation was big for the Bills.
10, 9.
Oh, baby.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Great interview, guys.
What is up, Buffalo Fanatics? Z-Bot here with you, live on the Buffalo Fanatics YouTube channel on a Monday night. And that, of course, can only mean one thing. It is the Smoke Break, powered by BetUS. I'm so used to saying on a victory Monday night, but it's a bye week Monday night. I've had the opportunity of saying victory Monday night for 6 consecutive weeks. We're hoping to make it 7 a week from tonight after the Bills take on the San Francisco 49ers on Sunday Night Football at the Ralph in Week 13. Can't wait for it. Appreciate you tuning in this evening. We're going to break down what we saw in Week 12. We got the Harbaugh Bowl coming up here in about a half an hour. That should be a good one. Huge one for both teams. Imagine the Ravens go down tonight. They would fall to 7-5, which would be wild. We'll also talk about how the Buffalo Bills can clinch the AFC East this week. That's right, folks. It's not even Thanksgiving yet, and we're talking about the Buffalo Bills' opportunity to clinch the division this upcoming week, and it's very feasible. Something that I think is going to happen. You let me know in the comments how you think it's going to go down. We'll talk about what has to go down in order for these Bills to clinch the division in Week 13. Once again, good to have you in on the Smoke Break here on the Buffalo Fanatics YouTube channel. Week 12 in the books, one of the worst slates of football you'll ever see. Luckily, we got a couple of exciting games out of it yesterday, but my God, usually when the Bills are on a bye, you look forward to enjoying football stress-free. Now, you got to do that yesterday, but it's nice to do it with a good slate of ball. Yesterday, terrible. Up and down the board, there wasn't a single good game. The only one that you would have circled that you thought, all right, this is going to be good, or it should be good, was Niners-Packers. The Niners, of course, the team that the Bills are taking on this upcoming week. And that game was absolutely atrocious. 38-10, the Packers beat the Niners. Wonder if that is a sign of things to come, perhaps this upcoming week in Buffalo. We'll go ahead and take a look right now on BetUS at the current odds for that game. Now, granted, the Bills are the better team than the Niners right now, no question. And the Niners are banged up. But to me, this line, it's a bit of an overreaction to what we saw yesterday from the Niners based on the fact that they were without Brock Purdy, without Trent Williams, without Nick Bosa. Not to mention the litany of other guys they were already missing prior to going into this week. Right now, the Bills are a 7-point favorite. Before the season started, the early lines had come out for every single game. Believe it or not, you can bet on every game when the schedule drops. So say it's week 1, you can bet on the week 13 game here. So if you were to have bet on this game back in September, the Bills were a home dog. That's how much the Bills have risen up the ladder. That's how far the Niners have fallen down it. And that is equated into the Bills currently being a full 7-point favorite at home against the reigning NFC champions. The Bills 100% should be a sizable favorite. There's no question about it. The Bills should be I mean, they should at least be a 4-point favorite or so, in my opinion. Right now, when you're looking at this, a 7-point favorite, I think it's a bit of an overreaction to what we saw yesterday, and that was a 28-point drubbing the Packers delivered to the Niners. But once again, without Purdy, without Bosa, without Trent Williams, they could be without all three this upcoming weekend against the Bills. I highly doubt it. If I had to put my money on it, I bet you all three of them play because their season is very much on the line. They went from being the favorite to win this division to now they are at the bottom of the barrel. They are last place currently in the NFC West. A couple of weeks ago, the Seahawks were in dead last. Now they're all the way at the top. That division right now, they're not playing the best football, but it is probably the best division in the league right now in terms of how tight it is going into the end of the year. It is truly anybody's division. This is essentially a playoff type game for the Niners. They could fall to 5-7 if they lose. And as you can see, they're projected to lose. A 7-point dog. You can get in on that right now on BetUS. I don't know if the line's going to move or not, depending on what we see from the practice participants this week. I would imagine it does. But if you want to get in on it early, YouTube 150 is the promo code on BetUS. That'll get you a 150% sign-up bonus up to $2,000 on your first deposit and 125% bonus on your next two after that. So this is the deal, folks. The Bills can clinch the AFC East this upcoming week. It is crazy to think as I'm wearing my Bills Run the East sweatshirt. And that's what they do. They run the East. This would be the 5th consecutive AFC East title for these Buffalo Bills, and clinching the division is all but inevitable. That's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. And it does not get any better than the idea of these Bills being able to clinch the division before December is 2 days old. The Bills can have this division locked under a key on December 1st. Think about where we were a year ago. This time a year ago, the Bills were on the outside looking into the playoff picture, much less fighting for the division. The Dolphins would go on to have a 3-game lead in this division. It would take a massive collapse by the Miami Dolphins, a resurgence by the Buffalo Bills, and then the final game of the entire season, the final game of Week 18. It took all the way until then for the Buffalo Bills to clinch the division. They didn't even know they were going to have an opportunity to clinch the division until a week prior. Now you fast forward to where we are now. These Bills can clinch the division 5 full weeks earlier than they did last year. They can be the first team in the league to clinch their division. And I don't know. I can't get enough of it. It has been known for probably a month now that this division was essentially the Bills. You can't tell me it doesn't bring a huge smile on to your face to know that they can wrap it up as early as this upcoming week. So what has to happen? I'm sure you know by now, but we'll break it down. It's very simple. All that needs to happen this upcoming week, the Green Bay Packers have to knock off the Miami Dolphins on Thanksgiving night, Thursday night, 8 p.m. kick in Lambeau. Just when you thought the slate of games for Thanksgiving kind of stunk, a lot of rooting interest for us on Thanksgiving in the nightcap, which you got to love. You spend the whole day with the fam, you load up on the Thanksgiving eats, and you kick back and you hope that the Packers can squish the fish. Then all you have to do after that, should the Packers get it done, all you got to do is beat the Niners, and boom. Bills can lose out the rest of the way if they were so inclined. Now, of course, we got a 1 seed to fight for, so there's no sense in even talking about taking your foot off the pedal. But a playoff spot is locked up in Week 13. And when you look back at what these Bills had to go through last year to get even into the dance, much less win the division, it's not lost on me. This is terrific. I've been enjoying every single second of this, and I hope that I can continue to enjoy it this upcoming week by pre-ordering my 2024 AFC East champ merch 5 weeks prior to when I had the opportunity to do it last year. So that's the scenario. It's cut and dry. It's very simple. All the Packers have to do is beat the Dolphins. Wait, hold on. I'm reading the comments. Oh, you got to be kidding me. Oh, we were off to such a good start. My mic's not on. It says it's on. Is it not on? It's telling me it's on. Rico, come save me. Rico's in the background. What's up with my mic? It sounds good on my end. What's going on with it? Talk to me, chat. Talk to me. Z-Bot mic is distorted as hell, my brother. What is going on? I was going to say it's plugged in. We're plugged in. Rico's in the back. Rico's in the green room right now, just staring at me. He's just staring. He's on a plane. Rico's on a damn plane. We can hear you, but the audio is off a bit. All right, somebody explain it to me. Because I'm seeing people in the chat saying it's good. And then I'm seeing people saying it's not. We were off to such a good start. Maybe a loose wire. Let's try unplugging it and plugging it back in. Hold on. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. Let's see here. I'm so bummed. We can hear you when you unplug.
We have passengers using their headsets to remove them.
Hold on, let's try this.
How about now? Is it better now? Talk to me, Chad. Is it better now? I just adjusted the settings. Talk to me. There we go. 445 block confirming it. Damn it all. Damn it all. This is the problem when I get off to an early rant and I don't check all in my zone. Thank you for letting me know. Okay. Rico's in the background right now, by the way, and now he just left. Rico was just in the background of the show. I can see him, but you can't see him. And he's on a plane, and he's just staring at me. He doesn't come on and say anything. He's in the background. He's in the green room, so to speak. Rico. He's staring at me. Now he's doing it again. Here he comes. He's coming back on. I can hear the flight attendant. And he's just staring at me. And now he's banging his camera against his head. I don't know what's going on with him. Is this a cry for help? Rico, is this a cry for help? You need me to call somebody? The Air Force? He's giving me I don't know what's going on. Rico is on a flight right now, though. Rico is currently in the green room, 1,000 feet in the air. He keeps hopping in and out. I don't know what's going on. Okay. Anyway. I had my mic settings, by the way, on exactly what I always have them on, so not entirely sure why that was the way it was. Thank you for letting me know. I need to put a sticky note on my computer that says check chat instantly because you guys are always on it, and I spend 10 minutes talking to myself, and then I look over, and it's like, I got egg on my face. Anyway, back to what I was saying. It's not lost on me how terrific this is that the Bills have the opportunity to clinch this division this upcoming week. Where we were last year, it was essentially a month and a half long panic attack, and it wound up resulting in what we hoped it would result in, but it was way too difficult. It was way too gut-wrenching. It was way too nerve-wracking. I don't want to go through that again. To be able to overcome, obviously, what happened last year and get it done, and then transition into this year when nobody thought you were going to be capable of doing it, when you had the third best odds to do it, right? To now do it 10 times easier than you wound up doing it last year. You can't get over it. It's the best. So, like I said, before the mic got all screwy, like I said, very simple situation this week that has to unfold for these Buffalo Bills to clinch. The Green Bay Packers have to beat the Miami Dolphins. The Buffalo Bills have to beat the San Francisco 49ers. Just like that, the Bills will have a fifth consecutive AFC East championship with a 1 seed very much in sight. Did you witness what I witnessed yesterday between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Carolina Panthers? look, I know the Chiefs do this often, right? Where they get your hopes up. They'll play down to an opponent, right? They'll make it seem like they're vulnerable. I got bit by this last year, and this is why I'm so apprehensive to go down this road again. But I'm sorry, Bryce Young hasn't had a game like that in his career, and he balled out on this team yesterday. And it took Mahomes to have to scramble for his life for this team to get in position to win the ball game yesterday towards the end of regulation. Based on what you saw the Bills do to them a week ago, based on what you saw the Bills do all year long to opponents of similar fashion to the Panthers, based on what you saw the Chiefs do against the Panthers, I don't know. Does it not seem like with the schedule that the Kansas City Chiefs have to end the year, having to play the Chargers, who we're going to watch in a minute here, having to play the Steelers, having to play the Texans? I don't know, man. I don't know. There has got to be another loss on there. Can the Bills find a way to take advantage of that potential opportunity? Because yesterday, I'm telling you, those Chiefs, they hadn't allowed 28 plus points in 30 games prior to the Bills putting up 30 on them. The Panthers, folks, the Carolina Panthers, unarguably a bottom 5 team in this league, laid 27 on them and had this game tied going into the 2-minute drill in the fourth quarter. If this defense is going to start allowing teams to do what has happened the last 2 weeks, then they're screwed. That was the biggest difference. The offense wasn't able to be up to the standard in which we were accustomed to them being with Tyreek Hill. And then the defense all of a sudden took over. It went from an offensive team to a defensive team overnight, and they've won championships both ways. If this defense is going to be a defense that allows 27 points to the Carolina Panthers, look out. So it's awfully interesting. It was already interesting. I think what you saw yesterday made it that much more interesting. And everybody always says, so-and-so hasn't beaten anybody. Or, yeah, you beat the hell out of them, but who cares? It was the Panthers. It was the Jaguars. It was the Patriots. There's a difference to me. The Chiefs they're not able to do that. They do not blow teams out. Now, granted, a win is a win. But you cannot feel, how do you as a Chiefs fan after yesterday feel comfortable moving forward after snapping the 15-game win streak, allowing 30 points for the first time in 30 games, literally 2 years? How do you feel good about doing that and then taking that into a game where it's your get-right game? All right, we finally got a loss on the schedule. We lost. This is an opportunity for us to get right and really get amped up moving into the final stage of the season here. And that's the opposite of what they did. Yeah, they scored 30 points. Everybody scores 30 against Carolina. I cannot believe that defense allowed the Panthers to do what they did to them yesterday. So the 1 seed very much in view, but the fact that you can have a playoff spot locked up this upcoming week is terrific. So once again, all that has to happen, Packers beat the Dolphins, Bills beat the Niners, Bills have the East locked up. Okay, so how likely is that to happen? Let's walk through what the scenario is. As I mentioned to you earlier, the Bills are a 7-point favorite right now against the San Francisco 49ers. The Packers right now, in my opinion, should be a 7-point favorite against the Dolphins based on what I'm about to tell you, but they're not. If there's one bet that I'm on this week, and this is one of those bets, once again, nothing's set in stone, nothing's given. Any given Thursday, Sunday, whatever, fill in the blank. I understand that. But if there's one bet that I'm making this upcoming week, you bet your bottom dollar it's the Packers -3 against the Dolphins in Green Bay. The Dolphins are starting to get more respect now because they've been rattling off wins since Tua's been back, and even in their losses, exceptionally close games, very close games. Tua's been playing good football. I'm not going to knock that at all. Tua played exceptionally well against the Bills. They played real. I've told you, that was the best the Dolphins had played the Bills in several attempts, probably the last 10 games. That was the best they played him. Losing effort, I understand it, but it took a Tyler Bass 61-yard field goal to win it. The Dolphins are playing better, but this is a whole different ballgame. The -3 to me, that's a little light, and you might be asking why. Well, as you saw, it's in Green Bay. There are some stats that will blow your mind in terms of the Miami Dolphins and their incapability of playing elementary style football when the weather gets below freezing. And this isn't just the recent iteration of the Dolphins, the Mike McDaniel version of the Dolphins, the Tua version of the Dolphins. This is the Miami Dolphins in general. According to Yahoo Sports, Miami has only won one game since 1992 when it's 23 degrees or colder. Let me rephrase that. The Dolphins have won one game in 32 years when the temperature is 23 degrees or colder. This is a team that plays in the AFC East. The Jets at home in December, it's 23 degrees or colder. In December in Buffalo, you know as well as I, you're lucky if it's 23 degrees. New England, it's 23 degrees or colder. It's not like they're playing out on the West Coast and they have maybe one game a year, one game every a couple of years where they're playing in freezing cold weather. They're playing in freezing cold weather annually, multiple times a year, numerous times. At the bare minimum, you'd have to imagine the Dolphins on an annual basis are playing anywhere from 2 to 4 games when it's freezing cold out. And they have won one of them in 32 years. 32 years. And that one win came in 2008. So it has been now, do the quick math, it has been 16 years. 16 years. I was 11 years old the last time the Miami Dolphins beat a team when the temperature was 23 degrees or colder. That is one of the craziest stats I've ever seen. But it's not so crazy when you go back and watch what the Dolphins did against the Chiefs last year in the divisional. It didn't even look like they were an NFL team, much less a team that deserved a playoff game. That game, that Miami Dolphins offense could not do anything. They lost 26-7 in a game that was atrociously unwatchable. Tua had a 50% completion percentage, could not crack 200 yards. And I remember the bulk of his yards came on a duck that he threw up in the air, and it happened to just fall in the lap of Tyreek Hill. It should have been picked off. That's the last time we've seen the Dolphins in that type of weather, and they got trounced. 26-7 does not even justify how bad of a loss that was. They got destroyed all game long. So why am I bringing this up? Well, I'm pretty sure you're able to put the pieces together. Green Bay, Wisconsin, folks. That ain't the Bahamas, okay? Green Bay, Wisconsin is not a private island in Aruba. It is a freezing cold it's the frozen tundra. I'm pretty sure the frozen tundra originated in Green Bay. The frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. I mean, you can hear John Vicenda say it now. Thursday night in Green Bay. Thursday night in Green Bay has a high of 33 and a low of, you guessed it, 23 degrees. And the Miami Dolphins are a 3-point dog. That's it. They're not just playing a team in freezing cold weather. They're playing one of the teams that plays in freezing cold weather religiously. When you think Packers football, you think Lambeau Field with that whole crowd bundled up, wearing 12 layers, a thin coat of white on the field, and every time you tune in, you're watching the players as they breathe blow out clouds of smoke. That's what you think of when you think of Packers football. And you mean to tell me the Miami Dolphins are going in Thursday night in keeping that game within 3 points, I'm sorry, but I don't see it. Tua in his career is 0-7 when the temperature is 40 degrees or colder. So that stat I rattled off to you earlier, that was just 23 degrees, right? Maybe a bit more understandable. Really cold. 23 degrees, that's really cold. One win for the Dolphins since 92 in that element. It's even worse for the Tua-led Dolphins. Tua Tagovailoa is 0-7 in his career when the temperature is 40 degrees or colder. As I just stated, the high in Green Bay Thursday night, the high is 33 degrees. Now, they're trying to brush this off. Remember Mike McDaniel? I forget which game it was. It was either last year or 2 years ago. Remember the shirts? It isn't cold enough. Man, I understand trying to be playful, have fun, build the spirits. But when you haven't won a game since 2008, when it's 23 degrees or lower, you might want to save the jokes until you finally win one. And then maybe you can start joking about it a little bit. There's also a 24% chance of snow in this game, too. It's taken everything in my power. I mean, I'd have to consult Caroline, and she would say no, so it's not going to happen. But it's taken everything in my power to not liquidate all of my assets and put them all in the middle of the table on the Packers on Thursday night. Every single trend on the planet, literally a 32-year-old trend, will tell you these Dolphins don't stand a chance in that football game. Yeah, they've been playing better. This is a whole different environment, and it's an environment that they are god-awful in. I still can't get over that number, that stat. It is just insane. One win in 32 years when it's 23 degrees or lower. But it's even worse for Tua. 0-7. 0-7 when it's 40. I mean, think about it. 40 degrees in Buffalo, you still got people going to Wegmans in shorts. 40 degrees is whatever. I mean, yeah, it's cold, but it's not insane. But that just goes to show you how limited the threshold is for this team to succeed when the temperature is not up to Miami-type standard. So you're asking yourself, are the Dolphins going to lose to the Packers on Thursday night in order for the Bills to be able to clinch on Sunday night? You tell me. I mean, to me, this is the biggest no-brainer of all time. I'm also watching a Packers team yesterday beat the Niners 38-10. 38-10. I know they were banged up. 38-10 banged up. Still had McCaffrey out there, and that hasn't been looking all that great since he's been back. In fact, Mason still seems like the better running back. Did they rush him back? Many would say that they have. I'm getting a Packers team coming off of a 38-10 win over an established 49ers team who we know, despite their struggles this year, that's one of the best run football organizations in the league. Now they're at home in freezing cold weather against a team that quite literally cannot function in that type of environment. Sounds set up to me. Now the question is, we move to Sunday night with the Bills. Should the Packers take care of business on Thursday night like I'm alluding that they will? It's the Bills' turn. Got to lock it in on Sunday night. Now the question remains, who's going to be out there for the Niners? Right? So it was kind of a surprise that Brock Purdy did not play on Sunday. It wasn't completely set in stone going into the day that Brock Purdy wasn't going to suit up for the Niners. But his injury, I guess it was hanging around a bit worse than they anticipated. He wasn't able to throw without stiffening up, and he couldn't go. So in comes Brandon Allen. How funny, by the way. Number 17 for the Bills, Allen. Number 17 for the Niners, Allen. we could potentially have a 17 Allen showdown on Sunday night. Now, according to Kyle Shanahan, he says that Brock Purdy was able to throw the ball a bit today with better success than what he was showing prior to this past weekend against the Packers. Looking for the exact quote here. So Brock Purdy was able to kind of toss the ball around a bit with less pain, but it's still up in the air. It's still completely up in the air as to whether or not he's going to go. It's questionable at the moment. Gun to my head, he's got to go. I mean, he absolutely has got to play. This team is on the ropes. If they lose Sunday, which I hate to break it to them, but that's what I foresee. I mean, if Brock Purdy's in there, that's what I guarantee. If he isn't in there, he has to play. You saw what they looked like yesterday without him. And they've been struggling with him with the constant injuries, right? Trent Williams injured. Brandon Ayuk out for the year. In and out every week, seemingly George Kittle. McCaffrey was out for most of the year. They've been struggling with him. You saw what it was without him. Their season is very much on the line. Let me look up the percent chance to make the playoffs right now for the Niners, just to kind of get an idea of how desperate of a team that they are currently. Wow. I didn't know it was this low. Right now, the San Francisco 49ers have a 7% chance to make the playoffs. And by my estimation, that probably means winning the division. Because believe it or not, they probably have as good of a chance to win the division as they do just to make the playoffs without winning the division. It is craziness in the NFC West. 6-5 Seahawks, 6-5 Cardinals, 5-6 49ers, 5-6 Rams. These teams all have to, they all have a bunch of games against one another as well coming down the pipeline here. According to the New York Times simulator, if the Bills beat the Niners on Sunday night, the Niners will fall from a 7% chance to make the playoffs to a 4% chance to make the playoffs. This is a playoff game under the lights for the Niners in Buffalo on Sunday night. Brock Purdy, if he's even close to being able to go, absolutely has to go. I would imagine he is going to play Sunday night. But that's just one piece of the puzzle. They're also missing Trent Williams, one of the best in the business. He didn't play this past week, but he was very close to playing. He traveled with the team to Green Bay, but wasn't able to go. He was very close. I think you can lock in that Trent Williams is going to play for the Niners this upcoming week. Like I said, he traveled with the team. It was awfully close as Justin Herbert scrambles into the end zone. What a beautiful opening drive for the LA Chargers all the way down the field. A 5.5-minute drive. I was watching out of the corner of my eye, seemed to be moving the ball with relative ease. 9 plays, 70 yards. Herbert caps it off with a rushing touchdown. Look out for the LA Chargers. We knew Harbaugh was going to turn this organization around, but their defense has been playing extraordinary, and Herbert is not turning the ball over right now. Just to verify Justin Herbert, his stats on the year, he has 1 interception on the entire season. 1. That's it. Now, only 13 throwing touchdowns, but man, you might take a couple off the top of the touchdown statistics for that type of production when it comes to not turning the ball over. Nearly 100 passer rating as well to go along with it. Actually, over 100 passer rating to go along with it. He's at 102 passer rating. Look out. And once again, my whole thing on the Ravens, I'm somewhat terrified of the Ravens strictly because of their offense. Their offense, to me, it's one of the best in the league. On any given Sunday, it can be the best in the league. Now, there's an argument to be had now. What the Eagles are doing now, what Saquon Barkley is doing, I was all in on the Lions being the sole lock to go to the Super Bowl out of the NFC. I still think the Lions are a better team than the Eagles. I still would take them to go to the Super Bowl over the Eagles. But I had said, let me see what these next few weeks look like for Philadelphia, because after the bye, they had been playing really well. They've been rattling off wins. I think they now have 6 consecutive wins. But I wanted to see a bit more. They're really building on it. Defense is playing extraordinary. And Saquon Barkley, not only has he ran away quite literally with the Offensive Player of the Year award, he has now cemented himself into the MVP conversation. I believe as it stands right now, he is 3rd in the betting odds. It goes J.A., Lamar, Saquon. And obviously, the award does not go to a running back. I don't know if we'll ever see it again. But the idea that he's even in the conversation, much less in the top 3, that in itself should be an award. That goes to show you. It was neck and neck between him and Henry for a while in terms of who was going to be Offensive Player of the Year. It's not even close anymore. He's going to win that unanimously. Guy last night had what we saw last night from Saquon Barkley. That was generational. 255 yards on the ground on a Sean McVay defense. 255 yards on the ground. He ran it 26 times for 10 yards a carry. Oh my God. I had to rattle off a quick thought on Saquon, because as a Penn State fan to this day, he's still one of the best players I've ever seen live. I went to a Penn State game back when he was there, and they were playing someone terrible. One of those kind of written in W's that every college team has. And me and my dad went, and I got to watch him in that game, essentially playing like what would be the equivalent of the Bills playing a CFL team. And just watching that guy in that environment where it's just set up to succeed, I've never seen anything like it. And he's doing that type of shit at the NFL level against playoff caliber teams. Crazy. So back to the Bills-Niners Sunday night. Brock Purdy, that's huge. I think he goes. Whether he's fully 100% or not, which he probably won't be, he has to play. I think he does play. Like I just mentioned to you, 7% chance to make the playoffs for the Niners. They lose. It's down to 4%. Their season's essentially toast. Trent Williams, he made the trip to Green Bay this past week. Game time decision. Wasn't able to go. I would imagine if he was that close to going in this past game, then you can envision him playing in this game. Now, Bosa, interesting, right? He did not make the trip to Green Bay, Nick Bosa. So, that of course is huge, because to me, he's the heart and soul of that defense. And it completely changes, I think, the way you approach that defense. But regardless of him being out there, it's odd. They still have not been playing well on that side of the ball. They lost their defensive coordinator in the offseason this year. And I think you're starting to notice the results of that. But Bosa out there, it completely changes the defense. Whether it's great or not, it's still a far more stout defense than you're going to be facing with him not in there. I mean, yesterday, I don't think does Green Bay score 38 points if he's in there? I mean, maybe, but it sure as hell wouldn't have been as easy as it looked. So those are 3 guys right there. I mean, you got 3 Pro Bowlers right there, essentially. You got potentially 2 Hall of Famers there. Really, I mean, probably 2 locks for the Hall of Fame in Nick Bosa and Trent Williams. So that, to me, has a lot to do with the number that you're currently seeing the Bills favored by. Like, I don't know if that number is going to remain what it is if it is announced that those guys are healthy. So, got to keep your ear to the ground this week in terms of what the Niners are planning on doing going into that game and how that's going to ultimately reflect the makeup of it. Because that 7-point number, that's 100% spot on if Brandon Allen's starting. I'm all over the Bills -7 if Brandon Allen's starting. I think the Bills are a better team than the Green Bay Packers. They just beat them 38-10. And that's a team that plays the Niners far more often than the Bills play them. Some familiarity there. They played in the postseason just a season ago. Niners beat them, of course. Plus in Buffalo off a bye where Sean McDermott's 7-0. I mean, at the end of the day, the tale of the tape here to me, I very much foresee these Buffalo Bills putting on another one of these sweatshirts here, the 2025 iteration of the Bills Run the East sweatshirt. I am very much envisioning those being passed around the locker room when Sunday night comes to a close. You'd basically have to break every trend here in order for the opposite to happen. The Dolphins would have to win in freezing cold weather, something that they've done once in 32 years, something that they haven't done in 16 years, something that Tua Tagovailoa and Mike McDaniel have not done once. They'd have to do that. And then the Bills would have to lose for the first time ever under Sean McDermott coming out of a bye. They'd have to lose their first game at home all year long. And they'd have to lose to a team that right now, I know it's hard for us to get out of our heads. Oh, it's San Francisco. It's San Francisco. It's the Niners. They've been in the NFC Championship 4 out of the 5 past seasons. They were in the Super Bowl a season ago. They were a play away from winning. I know it's ingrained in our mind. That's a team right now that's not close to what they were last year. Week in and week out. Even the games where they're looking like they are, it comes down to the fourth quarter and boom. It's just not the same football team at all. Looking over to the side here. 4th and 20 for the Ravens on their first possession. So the Chargers walk all the way down the field. They punch it in. 6:30 remaining in the first quarter. The Ravens got a punt on 4th and 20. Look, the Ravens fall to 7-5 tonight. They lose this game. Josh Allen, you might as well give him the MVP right now, unless they have a just unprecedented type collapse. You're not giving the MVP to Lamar at 7-5 with multiple divisional games still left to go. Saquon might move up to 2 there, honestly, in those betting odds, if that winds up being the case. So huge week upcoming here for the Bills. I'm very excited for it. I will be going to the game. Let me know in the chat if you guys are going to be in attendance. I cannot wait. Got my Zuba overalls ready to go. Got all my Bills cold weather gear ready to rock in the suitcase, taking it up with me from Connecticut to Rochester, then to Buffalo. Cannot wait for that game. Doesn't get better than Sunday Night Football. I've never seen Christian McCaffrey play in person, so I'm looking forward to that. It hasn't been good for McCaffrey since he's returned. Mason's still playing the best running back on that team right now. Against the Packers, he had 11 carries for 31 yards. The week prior against the Seahawks, 19 for 79 yards. The week prior against the Bucs, who you can basically do anything against, Tampa Bay's defense, everyone puts up points. Everyone moves the ball against Tampa Bay. 13 rush attempts for 39 yards. He's averaging like 3.5 yards a carry this season when he's been back here. So he hasn't been that imposing threat that we're accustomed to him being. The craziest stat of them all is that last year he was essentially a lock every week. If you needed like an additional leg to put in your parlay to get it up to a certain odds, you would just put Christian McCaffrey anytime touchdown. It was the biggest lock of the week every single week. He scored a touchdown pretty much every single week of the season. He hasn't scored a touchdown since he's returned. Has not gotten into the end zone on the ground since he's returned. So that's interesting. Real quick as well, in talking about where the Bills currently are, not only going into this week, because the East, we know it. It's wrapped up. But it would be nice to have it sealed with a bow and put it underneath your Christmas tree this week. You can get a little early Christmas gift. First day of December, why not kick off the 25 days of Christmas with a ever so sweet, wrapped up in a massive box under the tree, big red bow gift that is the AFC East title. Let's talk about what's upcoming here, though, because that's been so inevitable for so long. You know how it goes at this point. This is going to be the 5th consecutive AFC East title, you probably don't even give a shit about it anymore. I mean, I do. I always will. Growing up the way I did, where it was so far-fetched to even imagine the Bills would come in second place in the AFC East, much less win one. It's never going to get old to me, the recurring winning of this division. It's amazing. I can't get enough of it. I never will. But, yeah, does it get a little old? Sure. Because it doesn't mean what it used to. When the Bills won their first, it was everything. I mean, it damn near brought a tear to my eye. First one they had won in my lifetime. Now it's commonplace. So, yeah, you'd love to have it. You want to have it. You look forward to getting it. But the 1 seed has never been this attainable at this point in the year for the Bills. Maybe back in 2020, but this really does feel like this is the most attainable the 1 seed has felt going into week 13, at least since then. I mean, it is almost unarguably. So, upcoming here, Chiefs play the Raiders on Friday, on Black Friday. Now, Gardner Minshew, collarbone injury, done for the year. He will not play in that game, and the spread reflects it. The Chiefs are a 13-point home favorite against the Raiders on Black Friday. Quick anecdote, if you're a betting man. Patrick Mahomes has never covered the spread in his career when he's a double-digit favorite. So, not saying that the Raiders beat him, but 13 points, that's a hell of a lot of points to give to a division rival. I don't care if Desmond Ritter's playing. I don't care if I'm playing. That's a hell of a lot of points to give to a division rival. Not anticipating the Chiefs losing that ball game. However, I was not anticipating the Chiefs to win 30-27 against the Panthers this past week. It's up in the air. Prior to the Bills beating the Chiefs last week, the last loss for the Chiefs was against the Raiders in a similar environment. It was on Christmas Day. This is another holiday game, a Black Friday game standalone. So you can't say it's impossible because we've literally seen it happen less than a calendar year ago. But then it goes Chargers, the Browns. Look at, hey, once again, do I anticipate the Chiefs losing to the Browns? No, but Jameis Winston, man, that's a fun watch. That's a fun watch. It might not be the most, sound football. May not be the best football in terms of winning a championship, but Jameis going to win you a couple games. And he beat the Steelers the other night in a game that they should not have won, and the Steelers could not lose in terms of wanting to win this division and wanting to keep pace for the 1 seed. I mean, believe it or not, we were talking so much about the Bills and the Chiefs kind of going back and forth throughout the rest of the year here in pursuit of the 1 seed. It's hard to believe that a week ago, the Steelers were right there. They had just as much of a chance to do it as the Bills did in terms of surpassing the Chiefs for the 1 seed. Plus, the Steelers have a head-to-head coming up with the Chiefs, the second to last game of the year on Christmas Day. That's going to be awesome. The 1 p.m. game on Christmas Day. Man, I'm just realizing this, by the way. The Chiefs kind of get hosed for being America's sweetheart, being the media darling. This is now 2 years in a row that the Chiefs have played on Christmas Day, and they threw a Black Friday game at them this week. So you now have 2 years in a row where the Chiefs play on Christmas. Now they essentially have to play on Thanksgiving because you got a game the next day. You're not going to be going and visiting your family wherever they might be Thanksgiving Day when you got a game the next day. So you essentially kind of lose your Thanksgiving. Then you have to play on Christmas again. That's kind of just hitting me right now. I guess that's the price you pay for back-to-back Super Bowl championships, 3 Super Bowl championships total. The list goes on and on. It's a price to pay. So, hey, they got to pay something, for Christ's sake. If it's got to be that, so be it. I hope it's more. I hope they have a bigger price to pay by the end of this year. But that Browns game, a little more interesting than maybe first met the eye. Certainly more interesting with Jameis out there than Deshaun Watson. Oh, I mean, that goes without saying, I think. But this is what's upcoming for the Chiefs, right? You got the Raiders, the Chargers, the Browns. Then you got this 3-game stretch where the Bills' schedule lightens up. The Chiefs' schedule really tightens up. Texans, Steelers, Broncos. Look, out of these next 6 games, Raiders, Chargers, Browns, Texans, Steelers, Broncos. If the Chiefs are going to play the way that they played the last couple of weeks here, I'm envisioning one loss. So the reason I brought this up is because last night, or right now, you got the Bills as a 7-point favorite against the Niners. I like the Bills in that game. At home, off a bye, against a banged-up Niners team. I understand the desperation is there. Desperation's been there for a while for San Francisco. I'm not sure how much of a factor that's playing anymore. They've been a desperate team now for about a month, and it's just not really turning into results. So, yeah, it's a factor. This has got to be the most desperate they've been, but, you know, you could have made that argument the last several weeks here. How about the Rams last night? Not to look ahead, but when you looked at this schedule earlier in the season, and you looked at this stretch, Chiefs, Niners, Rams, Lions. I mean, that looked like the gauntlet of the year. That looked like the toughest stretch of the season, bar none. Now, I'm not saying it's easy, and I still think it is probably the tougher stretch of the year. But it doesn't look as tough as it once did. You've already got the W over the Chiefs, so that's already in the bank. Like I had mentioned to you earlier, the Bills were a home underdog when the lines first opened up before the season started against the Niners. They are now a 7-point favorite. And then you got this Rams team that's fallen apart. People thought, all right, maybe they're bouncing back a bit last week when they beat the Patriots. But when you really hone in on it, the Dolphins beat the crap out of them. The Dolphins beat the hell out of them a couple of weeks ago. They didn't get in the end zone. That was the second time ever, I believe, in Stafford's career where he didn't get in the end zone. The Dolphins. I mean, it's not like their defense is the 85 Bears. They embarrassed them on Monday Night Football. Then they beat the Patriots. All right, we'll see what happens. The Eagles destroyed them last night. The Eagles absolutely dismantled the Rams last night. Does that Rams team to you, based on what you saw last night, look like a team that's going to be capable of beating the Buffalo Bills? Once again, any given Sunday, I understand it. I know it. I have to preface it, but did that team to you, when you watch them play when you watch them play the Dolphins in primetime, when you watch them play the Eagles in primetime, did that look like a team to you that's going to go toe-to-toe with the Bills? So, once again, this comes down to what I had a feeling it might come down to, and it's once again why this is unarguably the game of the year. I don't care who you're a fan of. Once again, I'm not looking ahead, but the Bills are massive favorites against the Niners, and they're going to be massive favorites against the Rams too, I would imagine. Should they get both of those W's, right? Then it's the Lions. The Lions have the Bears and the Packers coming up. That Packers game is huge. That's a Thursday night game, by the way, that Packers game. That's a big boy. That's the one right before the Lions play the Bills. So they're going to get some extended rest there, which might benefit them, plus the games at home. But that's also a divisional battle. That's a division battle. You know how those games go. The energy of that could exhaust them a bit more than maybe another game would. But I anticipate them beating the Bears this upcoming Thursday on Thanksgiving. We'll see what happens against the Packers. The last time that they played Green Bay, they beat them pretty sound. So we'll see what happens. But that is ultimately going to lead into the game of the year. Both of these teams could very likely be 11-1 at that, or excuse me, the Lions rather could be 11-1, or no, they'll be 12-1, and the Bills would be 11-2. I just don't know how it gets better than that. And I think that game could truly make or break the Bills' chance at the 1 seed. Because I don't think, based on what I've seen from Kansas City the last couple of weeks, this has nothing to do with the playoffs or winning a championship or whatever. This has everything to do with them running the rest of the table into the playoffs. Based on what I've seen out of them, I don't know if they're going to have enough luck with the final 3 games that they have against pretty damn good teams, playoff caliber teams. If they're going to have enough luck to power them through another 6 W's. We've seen it. I get it. We've seen it. They did it for 15 straight games, so it wouldn't shock the world. But it just takes one. It just takes one to keep the door open for the Bills. And I think it's all going to come down to that Lions game. Because if the Bills are capable of taking care of business in the games where they're favored in, Niners, Rams, if they can win that big one, they're going to be big favorites against the Pats twice and the Jets. It's never been more there. It's never been more there. But we start this week. We start this week by hopefully the Packers taking down the Dolphins on Thanksgiving night. And then the Bills taking care of business against the Niners on Sunday night. AFC East champs. And we keep motoring from there. A couple of super chats before we close up shop and go watch this Harbaugh Bowl that currently the Chargers are dominating in right now. Sword Brother coming in. He's saying, Mike is off, Z-Bot, go Bill. So was it ever off? Was it off? Or was it just messed up? I don't think it was ever off. Maybe it was. Let me know in the comment. Was it ever completely off? I hope it wasn't, because then we would have lost like the first 10 minutes of the show. So I hope it wasn't ever completely off. Tyler saying, I saw a lot of people get worried the Dolphins are going to pull a reverse of what we did last year to them. Let's pray for a Green Bay win this Thursday. Please point me in the direction of people who are worried about that. You think the Bills are going to blow what would currently be what? They have both head-to-heads against the Dolphins. Plus the Dolphins are, what, 5-6? And the Bills are 9-2 with 2 head-to-heads against them. Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't be anywhere close to the collapse the Dolphins had last year. That would be infinitely more catastrophic. We're talking an all-time historic collapse. We're talking like biblical collapse. Talk about it for generations type collapse. So whoever's spewing that BS, Tyler, you got to get on them. You got to get on them. Because that's insane. And then Richie's going to round us out. Bills clinching Sunday night. Get ready. I'm with you, Richie. Can't get to 59 without clinching the East first. I think it gets done on Sunday night. I can't wait to see it in person. Hopefully. Richie's also saying, after watching Panthers game, I'm no longer worried. Now, don't say that, because I said that last year after watching the Chiefs play the Raiders on Christmas Day. I said the same thing, essentially. I'm like, man, these guys just aren't who they used to be. And all of a sudden, they found that dial. I want to say it again. I really do. They've given me every reason to think that way. But after last year, they've given you every reason to not think that way. So I have to bite my tongue on it. But I can't lie. Last couple of weeks, these Chiefs, if their defense is going to play like that, they're in trouble. Their defense was not playing that way last year, regardless of how bad the offense looked at times. The defense was right there to pick them up. Then the offense got it in gear in the playoffs. If their defense is going to be playing at a caliber in which allows 27 points to the Panthers, there could be some trouble that we have yet to see before from these Kansas City Chiefs. Richie's also saying, would you rather see Bills-Lions or Bills-Eagles Super Bowl? Bills-Lions, unquestionably. Unquestionably, it would be one of the greatest Super Bowls of all time. You got 2 teams going head-to-head that have never won one. You got 2 diehard fan bases. You got 2 fan bases that don't really have a whole lot of fair weather fans, a lot of fake bandwagon fans. You're talking about 2 fan bases that are absolute diehards, tried and true, and they have been through the worst of the worst. The Lions, even worse than us. The Lions have suffered through a winless season. These 2 teams were the epitome of mediocrity and worse for the longest time. For those 2 to meet in the Super Bowl, with one of them coming out with their first ever Super Bowl championship, it would be I don't know how. I really don't know how it gets any better. So that's a no-brainer to me. I just think that, that how amazing would that be? Now, there's no silver lining at all. There's no silver lining at all to losing it. But if you look back like 20 years down the line, wouldn't you rather have said that the Lions fan base got the ring in that game than the damn Eagles fan base? Plus, if the Eagles beat the Bills in the Super Bowl, it would then complete the quad of NFC East teams who have all beaten the Bills in a Super Bowl, which is insane. Every single NFC East team would have a Super Bowl victory over the Bills in the Super Bowl. So that's the biggest no-brainer of all time to me, Bills-Lions. I also think it would be the better game, too. And then Richie's also saying, get your bottles ready with Pierre for Sunday Night Football. I can't wait. I'm going to have my bottles with me at the game in the lots. Going to be sipping all day. You know, it gets a little crazy when the games are at night. But that's how you know the game is going to be rowdy. The Ralph is going to be electric on Sunday Night Football. I absolutely can't wait. And I can't wait to be back with you at some point later in the week to talk more about it. In fact, I'll be back with you tomorrow night. My main man, Jesse. We're going to be on together tomorrow night to preview this game. If you ever tune into me on the NFC West Roundtable that I host with Roundtable Sports, Jesse, who is the San Francisco 49ers representative on that show, his YouTube channel, Last Second Sports, me and him are doing a collab episode tomorrow. It will be streaming live on the channel here and also on his channel as well. We're doing a dual stream, kind of like I did a few weeks back with Brandon, who covers the Seattle Seahawks. So tomorrow night, it's going to be a late one, by the way. It's going to be late. We're not going to get after it until about 11 p.m. because they're all West Coast guys. And we do the NFC West Roundtable on West Coast time. So the NFC West Roundtable will be tomorrow night. Going to be doing that from about 9 to 10:30, around 11 p.m., right where you are right now. Buffalo Fanatics YouTube channel, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch. Me and Jesse from Last Second Sports, who covers the Niners, will be breaking down Bills-Niners in depth tomorrow night, late night. So that will be good. We'll probably be joining you at another point later in the week as well. Got to figure out when based on the holiday here and what's open and what's not. But Rico and I should be on with you together at some point later in the week as well. So a lot more coming your way throughout the week this week. And I can't wait to get after it with you. On your way out the door, like button if you could. Subscribe button if you, for some insane reason, haven't hit it yet. We're nearing in on that 30K mark. We want to get to it by the time the Bills are playing in February. So go ahead and smash that button. And also on your way out the door, as I've been speaking on all night tonight, the Bills, 7-point favorites currently on BetUS. The Dolphins, 3-point dogs currently on BetUS. That's the combo we need to lock in the East. If you want to lock in your bets on those games, you can do so on BetUS using the promo code YouTube150. It'll get you a 150% sign-up bonus up to $2,000 on your first deposit and 125% bonus on your next two. After that, that's going to do it for me, folks. We'll see you tomorrow night. Make sure to join me and Jesse for the collab episode. It's going to be awesome. He'll give you a good perspective on what we can expect from the Niners, so it should be a good one. I'll talk to you then. But in the meantime, enjoy the rest of Monday Night Football. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Talk to you soon. Much love as always. And go Bills.